Okay. Just adjust that. Put that there. Do that thing. Whoa. Where the hell that was. How's it going, AT? Good to see you, brother. Just getting set up at the moment. Gonna get started on another blade. Got the ones from yesterday right here. Got another one right here that's ready to get started on. I'll do this side first. Message retracted. What? What happened? Where did I put the fire? Ah, there the fire is. Fire. I have make fire. I about make more. I open gas. I put gas. I put fire. I put gas. I put fireball. Fireball. Yeah, it's a little bit later in the day, but that's okay. It's all the same to me. Sun up to sundown, sundown to sun up. It all goes the same way, right? How you doing today, brother? Hanging in there? Hello, hello to all 7 people that are waiting for the fire to heat up. Hello, hello. Govin Blacksmiths. How you doing? Govin Blacksmiths. Showed AT already. This is what we did yesterday. Forged out this big old bastard sword blade, as well as a Middle Eastern / African inspired style of sword, which is a snake's tongue saber. It's got a snake tongue double-edged bit at the top with a traditional lower curved sword blade. Collection calls. Oh, that is rough. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Hanging in there. Yeah. Dude, tax collectors, debt collectors, all those kind of guys, they're assholes. They just want money. They don't realize that this time of the year is when people struggle the most with money, especially in this economy. Running both burners real quick just to help the forge get hotter. It's work. I'm not the only one needing to call. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are struggling with shit like that this year. I have a lot of family and friends that are having a lot of financial hardship stuff. They just need to, find somebody else to call instead of calling everybody.
Welcome to Tamil Nadu. What is Tamil Nadu? India.
Ah, gotcha. Is that a city or is that a state in India?
We all feel it. Yup. That is the truth. Work slows in the winter.
Every fucking year. Excuse my French. Awesome. Same here. Me, you, and AT. We all love blacksmithing, man. Blacksmithing is beautiful. It's a great way to get a good workout. It's a great way to get some stress out. It's a great way to get creative. And a great way to do something productive with your time. Like, instead of leveling blacksmithing in a video game, maybe people should try leveling blacksmithing in real life. So we're going to start like I always do when it comes to swords. I'm going to start off working my tang. And it's not quite super hot yet. So it's not moving a whole lot yet. But that's fine. Get what we can where we can as it comes. So how's everybody doing out there today? Hanging in there, hanging out, or just trying not to hang? Just gotta let it get up to temp. As you can see, the forge is starting to warm up, but I want to get my steel nice and toasty before I move it. At least before I move it too much.
Procrastinating on doing a dump run.
Man, I'd be procrastinating too, to be honest with you. I hate going to the dump.
What is up? How you doing, Outdoor Malachi?
I am making sword blade. What kind of sword blade yet? Don't know quite yet. Yesterday I made broadsword blade and a snake tongue style saber blade. Kind of seeing where the day takes me. I got a lot of materials, so I've got like 10 total pieces of this bed frame rail stuff. Good old steel. It's like an old tool and spring steel kind of combo. It makes really good blades. So I'm taking all these pieces of stock and eventually they'll all become blades.
Hello, Luke Holton. How you doing?
Get a little more length out of this. One thing I always tend to do when I make swords is I almost always make the tang initially longer than it needs to be. That is in case I decide to design a different type of guard or pommel, or if I change what I want my guard and pommel to look like, if I decide to go with a hand and a half handle instead of a one-handed handle, it changes a lot of factors.
I do a little blacksmithing myself. Nothing that good yet, though.
You'll get there. Just practice. Just keep after it. Every hammer blow is a learning experience, my friend. The testing video for the 22-pound greatsword did just drop, just to let people know. Can I make a pickaxe? That's a lot of work. I could make a pickaxe. I don't really need to because I already have a couple pickaxes, though. I literally have a double-ended pickaxe right here, the head. Eventually these are going to get cut off and turned into Becta Corbin Warhammers. And I cut them off here, punch a slot, make a hammer side, make a beak side. They'll be cool. But that's a good ways off still. I've got a lot of sword blades to make first. Speaking of, right now I'm just kind of refining my tang. Because over the horn, you move steel fast, but it can get a little sloppy. So it's always nice to come back to the nice flat face after you're done. Make sure everything's nice and straight and clean. Good enough. Back and clean it up just a hair more.
I made a Viking hairpin for my mount for Christmas. That's cool. That is cool. I've done those before too. They're a lot of fun. Spartan 808, hello. A pickaxe is a very labor-intensive project and will be very difficult without a striker. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you've seen just like taking the 4-pound hammer. That was a nightmare. Trying to drift through all that and shape all that by hand without a striker. It's like 8 hours, like eight and a half hours of hand hammering for me with a lot of different and very heavy hammers. That's why I say, like, I don't really have a need to do a pickaxe. Theoretically I could, but it would take me a long time, a lot of fuel, and a lot of work and a lot of sore muscles. I just, nah, no thanks, I'm good. I have pickaxes. I have ones with handles on them, and I have ones that are sacrificial that I got from yard sales to make into Becta Corbins and other such things. Hence why I am a bladesmith, not a agricultural tool blacksmith. I like to make it a blades. make any tools too, but the tools that I make for myself for the most part. Much better, much better. Do you sell stuff? Yes. So if you look at the description, there should be a link to my Etsy store there. My Etsy store is hookersblades.etsy.com. I sell all kinds of stuff over there. Right now I've got, I think, a halberd, 2 warhammers that are grotesque style warhammers with like monster faces on them. I sold all the smaller warhammers, just the bigger ones are the 2 that I have on there now. I have quite a few swords, a good amount of knives. I think I have a hatchet, like a tomahawk-sized hatchet on there. Yeah, you can check it out if you want to. I've got a lot of stuff that's available, and there's always more getting thrown up there. Eventually, all the blades I'm making, like the big old bastard sword blade and the snake tongue saber, once they get hilts and handles and heat treats and all that jazz, they will be on the store as well. Almost everything I make on this channel, weapons-wise, goes on the Etsy store for sale. Even this sword that I'm making now will eventually show up there. So right now I'm just kind of cleaning up before I get started my thicknesses around here where I cut it was uneven. When I cut it with the angle grinder, I was a little uneven on this one. So there's some unevenness to the thickness here. So I'm just redistributing that mass real quick before I start doing anything else. And what I'm actually going to do is, unlike what I did with the other 2 swords yesterday, I'm going to start my bevel first, chase that up until I'm satisfied with the length, then cut it off towards the tip end. And yeah, we'll see where it takes us. Utah. I am from Utah. Good old USA. Now that we're up to temperature, I can turn down my heat just a little bit, my gas just a little bit, I should say. Not that much though. Yeah, with this particular project, and what I like to do is I just get an idea in my mind of what I want to make. Like with the bastard sword, I had a big piece of material and I wanted to make another bastard sword because it's been a while. I made one that was 2 pieces of rebar bent over, welded back into themselves and broadened out, and that was a huge, heavy bastard sword. This is a solid, like spring steel, tool steel combo type of alloy in this bed frame rail, and yeah, it's good stuff. And it's a very lightweight blade for its size. So I mean, it's going to be a lot more fun and a lot more lively to wield than the last bastard sword that I made. That one was more of a very, very beautiful steelwork kind of artist guard style, because it was all one piece of steel. The guard, the pommel, everything that was twisted from the rebar. But this one's going to be more traditional. That one was more fantasy. So, just knock this down. So that way it matches Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, everything on there is something that was forged at this anvil right here. Every piece on that Etsy store came off of this. And most of them have been touched by this hammer and several of my other hammers and tongs. So, every one of them things came out of this shop. And now I'm going to start my beveling process. Message redacted. Oh. Damn. Any tips for growing your YouTube channel? Be consistent and patient. I've been doing this for like 5 years. Live streaming has helped a lot. Don't neglect shorts. Shorts get pushed a lot more than your regular videos will, like your long form videos. Make sure you're using the related videos thing when you make a short to relate it to one of your long form videos, so your long form videos can pick up more traffic. And just be genuine. Be yourself. Don't put on a character, because people can kind of detect that. They can kind of tell when you're not being you, if that makes sense. And most of all, just do what you love and have fun, because that's what's going to get, in my experience, that's what's going to get the audience to come to you. Is there that sense of enjoyment, that sense of wonder that you experience when you're doing what you love tends to be what draws people in, because they know you're being genuine and you're doing something that you enjoy for yourself rather than just for the camera, because there's a lot of people that just do stuff for the camera nowadays instead of doing stuff they genuinely enjoy. I'm hoping I'll get this sword blade done before I run out of gas. If not, I will attempt to swing down and get more today and continue streaming. Because I want to at least knock one out today, if not a couple while I have the time off.
So, yeah. Alright. Now, start beveling this opposite side. About 5.5 years or so. Maybe 6, something like that. Honestly, don't exactly remember quite when. I know it was 5 or 6 years ago, but I don't remember the exact date. Awesome, man. You definitely seem to have learned a bit faster than I. At least in my opinion. Your stuff's real pretty, man. Not much. Same thing. Waiting for steel to heat up, then hitting it with the hammer, brother. It's going to be double-edged, obviously, because I've got the medial ridge going in it. I'm thinking about doing a Flambert-style design for this one. I've done Flambert blades that are double-edged before, but I'm also really wanting to do something like a small straight sword, like an actual little long sword. I'm kind of torn. So basically what's going to happen is once I get the straight sword blade made, if it's not to my liking, I'll just turn it into a Flambert's blade. If it is to my liking, I'll keep it as a straight sword blade and refine it to where I'm happy with it. Spatha. I thought the Spatha was the like a scissor sword. You know, like it's a sickle that points like suchly, and instead of it being like a saber where the blade's out here, I thought it was one where the blade's up here on the inside of the curve and up here a little bit. I may be thinking of the wrong thing. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Because I know, like, I've made small Flambert double-edged blades before, but I can't remember what the name is. It may be Spatha. I'm not sure. The longer gladius. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just don't have enough mass at the top to where I could draw it down to a good thickness and not be too thin to make that leaf blade shape. I mean, I could upset some of it, but if I was going to do that, I should have done that before I started beveling. Because that can just cause me all kinds of headache at this point. Trying to upset with a medial ridge on my blade already. I guess you could say it would be very upsetting. Ha ha ha, waxman humor.
interesting. I guess I haven't researched gladiuses and like gladiatorial weapons very much, because when I think gladius, I immediately think of like leaf-bladed profiles. So you're basically saying some of them had that steeple kind of point, or like doubled in point with a straight blade that's double-edged. I actually think I have seen some varieties of that, kind of like the movie Hercules, the animated movie Hercules from years ago. His gladius was a straight blade without a leaf profile. Yeah, I could go with that, but I'm going for a very long sword here if I can. I mean, I've got all this flat stock to work with, so I may make this a long blade, especially now that I have the bigger quench tank that I made to accommodate stuff like this. I can quench stuff up to 40 some odd inches now in length, as long as I can get an even heat in the forge. Sword, the gladius was for sport. Okay. So the gladius was a shortened, like, that makes sense because it would be a shortened close quarters combat weapon for fighting in the arena, and it would be recognizable as a smaller version of what the soldiers, guards, and troops would be carrying. So that makes sense. It's a military symbol as well as a symbol of the power of Rome at the time. So that's actually really cool. Learn something new every day. Okay. Gotcha. Now that has the wooden guard and pommel, right? Like the spadas historically, they were like bronze or wood for the guard and pommel. This is my shop dog. He's the only one brave enough to come in the forge while it's running. That over there is the other dog. She is not the forge, though. She does not come near the forge when it is running. She does not like the forge. The forge is foreign and scary and fiery. Yes, wood guard and pommel with a bronze plate on the blade side of the guard. Yeah, I figured it was like your typical Roman guard construction and wooden guard and pommel construction. Yeah, I may have to consider doing that. I have some sheet brass. It's not bronze, but I have some sheet brass. I don't have enough wood that's of hardwood right now to do the guard and pommel, but that can be fixed. Say hello to the people. No, you don't want to say hello to the people? You just want to go back to chilling in the yard? Okay. I'll take you back to go chill in the yard. Hello, hello. TDK Knives and Adventures, how you doing? That is blue. Cute puppy. Yeah, he's 9 years old. It's a healer lab mix, but he's got a permanent puppy dog face. Doing good, doing good. Oh, you're back. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, brother? Working on another sword today. Kind of going back, cleaning up some uneven areas, because what happens is
scales on a double-edged thing. As one side expands, it'll kind of bend the sword back and forth, right? As that's happening, it'll reveal spots that are not as broad as they should be. Then you can go back and rework those spots to get them to a uniform thickness. Cool, cool. Glad to hear it. Thanks for coming and hanging out, man. Now, I don't know who it was, but yesterday on the stream, I didn't catch it when it happened, so I'm not exactly sure what time, but yesterday while I was streaming, somebody ordered one of my daggers. Somebody bought one of my daggers. So, you know who you are if you're watching. Shout out to you. You make this stuff possible. Guys like you, people like you, persons like you. And I appreciate that. I just subbed to you. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for the subscribees. While I've got y'all here, I've been bringing this up in the past couple streams. I forgot to bring it up yesterday. YouTube has introduced a feature called Hype. Now, this is where it gets important. Okay? Dude, you rock. But YouTube has introduced a feature called Hype, right? And basically, if your channel is under 500,000 subscribers, then some people can hype videos you make. Now, this does something with the algorithm to help with them get suggested and help them be seen by more people. So you can hype up to 3 videos a week before you're out of hypes for the week, and you can do this on, you know, whatever channel you want. But if you see something on my channel you really like, if you see a video that you really enjoyed, please do me a favor. It's in that same bar as the like button and all that stuff. If you see a video like that, please hype it for me, because it will help out tremendously. Even one person's hype multiplied by however many are willing to do it can help the videos reach more people. Dude, you rock. You rock. Thank you so much. And I'm not just saying this for me, but for you guys too, to be aware of. If you run a YouTube channel and you're trying to get more subscribers, make sure you shout out that hype feature. So that way more people can see your stuff, and more people will know that they can hype your stuff to help more people see your stuff.
Happy New Year, by the way. Thank you much. Thank you much. Happy New Year to you. And thank you for saying you'll hype stuff. I'm really trying to get this into a full-time business, so that way I can, do this full-time to support my family rather than working a 9 to 5, then coming here and working here when I'm not, doing my 9 to 5. Nationwide, are you on my side? Hello, are you on my side, Nationwide? Because I know you're not like a good neighbor, because you're not State Farm. Dude, thank you. You rock. I appreciate you. So how's everybody's day going? I know I've asked before, but there's people come and go, And I've always been socially awkward. Why do you think I chose to do the things I do? Martial arts, combat sports, bladesmithing. All of these things are not social activities. In fact, martial arts was social, but only within the gym, because we had rivalries with other gyms, so. Just working away at it. So I'm quickly reaching a point where I'm going to start, after I get this bevel evened out up on this side, I'm going to start cutting off some of the material up here and tapering things so we can get it longer and thinner without it having to be this wide. Because we only want this much of the blade, what I've got here, to be as wide as it's going to be. I want the rest of it to taper down. So yeah, we're going to make a pretty gradual taper on this to give it a nice point. But first we need to tune up that section right there. Not a lot of space in a blacksmith shop in Shadowbox. Get that sucker nice and hot.
Message retracted. What? Why does it keep taking people's words away from me?
Would you like me to send you a picture of a Spada? The hardest part would be the double fuller running most of the length of the blade.
I don't really have equipment to fuller stuff aside from like doing it at the forge, and it's a huge pain to do it at the forge with the top fuller because you kind of knock it back and forth in the middle of it when you put it in, so it always ends up closer to one side than the other, in my experience with the tooling I have. One of these days I'll eventually get a 2x72 with the right attachments to just grind those in. You can send me the picture though. This one's gonna go a completely different route than a Spada would though. Yeah, you're the late sleeper. How you doing? Did you get your rest? Like, did you actually get some sleep last night, bro? You were up till like what, 3 o'clock your time? We want to mark. Take right about there. That's about where we'll make our cut. You're the gentleman from South Africa, correct? Damn. Making a habit of inhaling water lately. Not a very good habit to form, mind you. Yep. Yeah, I thought that was you. I remembers you. Here's the broadsword finished up. Big old bastard sword, double-edged, broad bastard sword. And then this is the snake blade saber sword that we did yesterday.
Hello, Francis Jasons.
Jasinski. I was like, wait, that's not Jason's, that's Jasinski's.
How's it going, Clay Freddy? Hello, Sleepy Ghost. Yeah, it's pretty cool, bro.
Yeah, I've got 8 pieces of this stuff left. which means at least 8 swords. Right now, making a longsword, a lighter one-handed longsword. I may make it a Flambear style longsword, I may make it a straight blade, just depends on how it turns out when I get to that point. Hey, you cannot escape me. You may run, but you cannot hide. I will always find you. You will see the steel move. Come hell or high water, you will watch the sword form. The call of the fire beckons to you. Yeah, right now I'm just taking that upper third of the blade and stretching it out, making it longer and skinnier before I bevel that portion. So that way my bevel will skinny up as it goes towards the tip. Ha 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 ha. See, I told you, you cannot escape me. The fire beckons to you, gentlemen. The algorithm knows you secretly want to swing a hammer and a sword. We are made to watch your videos. Yes! Yes, you are my audience. You are the chosen ones. Forced by nature and time to watch a man with the last name Hooker smash steel. Forever lost on the interwebs. So obviously as I shrink it one direction, it gets thicker in the other. So right now, I'm just working it down. Because when I skinnied it up this way, it got thicker this way. So now I've just brought that back down to a uniform thickness before I make any more further adjustments to this thickness here. So that way I don't end up with a huge mass up in the tip. Because when you bevel it, however much mass is there can stretch. And I want it to have a uniform thickness all the way up, even though it's getting thinner this way. So the way I do that is by making sure my mass is isolated in a way that's going to be conducive to that outcome.
How long do you think this live will go? Because I'm gonna leave for a bit.
Until I run out of gas. I'm not sure how much I have quite left, but it'll be a while.
We love watching you beat up hot metal and make them into swords.
Yes, and I make them into much more than just swords. I make pole arms, axes, hammers, all kinds of weapons. But swords are one of my favorites. I think that's most people though. Most people love the sword. Get that recentered. There we go. So yeah, right now basically the shape that I'm giving it is going to dictate the angle that the blade steps down at towards the point, if that makes sense. The longer and pointier I make it now, the longer and pointier this section up here will be. This is more of a broad sword blade, so I gave it more of a broad taper towards the point. This one is going to be more of a straight sword, lighter blade, so I'm going to give it a lighter straight sword style of point. I mean, I could but that's not really kind of my deal. I like more practical historical pieces. Thor's hammer is kind of, in my opinion, as a weapons maker, it's kind of a gag weapon. You know, something so heavy only one guy can pick it up. And I mean, swinging hammers as I do all the time, a 50-pound hammer or something like that in one hand like that, if you could even pick it up, would break your wrist if you were to swing it and hold on to it. I like to make stuff that people can actually go in their backyard and swing around, rather than just like wall hangers. Everything I make that I sell on my Etsy store is functional. Like everything that goes up on the Etsy store is intended not to be a wall hanger. It's intended to go out in the back and chop up water bottles and you know, pumpkins and what have you, and practice with the sword, maybe cut up tatami mat. But just to have fun with, and be something that, yes, you can hang it on the wall because it's pretty, but you can also take it off the wall and do stuff with it because it's functional. It's not made of trash Chinese steel. Yeah. No worries though. Mythology accurate Mjolnir. I would have to look at the designs for that. I've actually never looked at the mythologically accurate designs for that. See, AT, you always make me think, brother. You always make me think of things. And then I end up doing really crazy stuff, like making 35-pound great swords that are unwieldy as... Okay, now I'm going to start to chase my devil the rest of the way up. No, you didn't give me that idea, but you've given me other good ideas before. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm literally being bored and doing something like a kid, just swinging on my anvils over here. There's so much going on in my personal life right now that I don't want to get into that is just making me nervous. So, moving around a lot. Smaller things. The horn on this is typically what I use it for. It has a much smaller horn, which is a much smaller radius. So when I need to get a really tight bend on something that I can't really do over here as easily, I'll come up to this and just work over the horn of the little guy. Good question, though. I'm sure that a lot of people didn't even notice that was there. guys will give me just a sec, I gotta go run and grab some more liquid, so I'll be right back. Liquids. J.I.J. Oh, hello, J.I.J. How do you do? It's been a minute since I seen you, dude. How you been? It's been a while. What you up to? Doing all right, working on a chef knife. Nice! I have 10 pieces of old bed frame rail, which is going to be at least 10 swords. Got a snake tongue saber that I'm working on. Got that forked snake's tongue kind of end that's going to be double-edged. Then a big boy bastard sword. Big old double-edged honkin' blade. Not actually that heavy at all, like easy enough to wield with one hand. And once I get the balance on there from the guards and stuff, it'll be pretty nice. Yes. Old bed frame, not new bed frame. It has to be the old stuff. Newer bed frame rail typically is not as good. Old bed frame rail, especially if you can get it from mining towns, it's old recycled rail steel. So it would come from the rails and the mining tools in those towns. But you have to find the old stuff. Yeah, it's just like older axle steel and older spring steel was better spring steel than newer spring steel is, in my opinion. But like, it's one of those things where it's like to each his own. It hardens up, it takes a good heat treat, it flexes well, it sparks well when you spark test. Like, it does all the things, it checks all the boxes. Holds an edge well, takes a flex test well. I've never had an issue with it. The new stuff does not. The new stuff sucks. Like, the new stuff I'm pretty sure is mild steel. Because I had some bed frame rail that I thought was old before that wouldn't harden up for shit, but every time I get the old stuff, it works well. Like, I heat treated a piece of each one of these parts of bed frame rail, and it made really good heat treatments on all of them. One of them I overheated. I'm pretty sure it had an anomaly, basically, but they all heat treated them the same way. I think one of them just got left in longer than the rest when I did the heat treat on it, because I got distracted by my wife and my dogs. I'm about trying to make a Warmonger Barbarian sword. I'll have to look it up. I'm not familiar.
If you want good springs, the ones off trailers are the best.
Yes, yes. Those, and if you're looking for like the real thin stuff, garage door opener spring for really thin blades. If I can get my hands on the garage door opener spring, I'm gonna make a bunch of fencing style rapiers that are more like bar swords that won't really have much of an edge at all. They'll be more of a thrusting oriented tool, but I figure people will dig on them as a thrusting sword, just to have a poker.
Oh, I have not seen Conan the Barbarian at all. I'll have to watch it or look it up. The only barbarian I remember growing up is Dave the Barbarian, and he was a cartoon barbarian with a hilariously oversized broadsword. It's old bed frame rail, so old bed frame rail. I'm not exactly sure what the alloy is, but I know that with an oil quench at your normal temperature, it gives a good heat treat. It hardens up well. It gets a good grain. And I like I said, I did some heat treat tests on these pieces before I got started using them. So I'm aware that it's high enough carbon to take a good heat treat, harden and temper correctly. I tempered it at 450 for 2 1-hour cycles, and it worked great. So I basically just gave it the same treatment I would as something like 5160, and it worked out just fine. I know. Dude, that's why I don't do stainless, and that is why I don't do stainless. Yeah. Stainless is a huge pain in the ass from what I've heard, and if I can avoid it, I will never touch this stuff. Pretty similar, thinking of a broader claymore with spikes. Okay. That could be cool. I usually don't, but by the time I was... it's already committed. How's it coming? Coming along well, man. Make spoons out of stainless. It sucks to work with. I work with 1095 a lot. 1095's fun. Pretty easy to heat treat, pretty easy to work. I like the stuff. Yeah, I just basically give this the same heat treatment I would most of the spring steels that I use. And it gives me good results. So, I mean, I'm not too concerned with what the exact alloy is or anything like that, as long as the heat treat's solid and the blade is solid. And I get a good heat treat on it, so they end up giving me good blades. Yeah, so I have all these pieces of material to work with, and so far I've got the 2 sword blades done from yesterday. This one's getting pretty close to where I'm going to call it done.
And what done means in this sense is not a finished with forging and heat treating process. What I mean by done is they're a blank. I've rough forged them within 70% of the final shape. Then I will go and I will grind them to roughly 80%, 85% of the way to finished. Then I'll go heat treat them. And I'm talking about after I've done all 10 of these or more. So that way I can do this as a batch, so it takes less time overall. And once the heat treatment's done, I can polish them all up, and then I can one by one assemble them. And that means forging guards, pommels, dish guards, baskets, depending on the design that I have in mind for each blade. So this is going to be a long project over a long period of time. But when it's finished, it'll be 10 more swords up on my Etsy store. Basically, I'm just getting more inventory going to replace all the stuff I've sold in the past couple of years. Yeah, basically what I'm making right now is just a smaller version of this with a more tapered point. Because this is a two-hander, and that's going to be a one-hander that you could use a second hand on if you wanted to, but you won't need to. Now I just need to start tuning things up. We got most of the main moving of the steel out of the way at this point. Now it's just going to kind of clean things up, make sure everything looks good, then set it aside to cool, stick another blade in. Gotta go waste more hours of my life with this knife. Let's see if I can make it back. All right, I will waste more hours of my life pounding on this piece of steel. Just the same, my friend. Or maybe Pandora's Kopis. I don't know who Pandora is, but I have made kopeshes, or kopises, the Egyptian swords. I've made 2 or 3 of them. One I made with like a Forsworn aesthetic. And then the other ones were made with more of like Egyptian meets high fantasy kind of vibe. We're getting there.
Carlos de San Hello, hello. How you doing, Carlos?
Yeah, I'll have enough fuel to finish this one, but probably not get through it all the way on the next one. Probably not end up having enough fuel for a second sword right now. I might have to go run and get more fuel after I get this first blade. But we'll get as far as we can with the time we have available to us and the fuel we have available to us. So, we're getting there. Bit by bit, we're getting there. Going for kind of a long, elegant one-hander on this one. This guy's going to be nice and light and thin. Nice agile sword. When it's done. When it comes to stuff like this, the trickiest part is always getting everything nice and straight. Keeping it that way. Because as you try to straighten one part, other parts will want to bend on you. Especially at higher temperatures. My point is a little bit out of center, so I'm going to have to give it a few taps on the anvil on the blade edge just to bring that more center. And then once I've got the point side all taken care of, I'll flip it around, heat up the tank side, and refine that some more, and then we'll let it cool down and start on the next piece. Go. A little bit more. There we are. Take any little bits of wobble out of it that it may have picked up from getting that centered back up. Go. having never seen a picture of you and only engaged with you for a couple of hours through talk, I wouldn't know very well, but if I had to guess, it'd be a wild guess. Let's say 32. So now I'm just working my way down the blade and cleaning up any uneven spots, drawing out any parts of the bevel that aren't equal with the rest of the bevel, and working my way down towards the tang until I get to the tang. Once I'm at the tang and I've straightened everything all the way through and I've fixed up the tang a little bit, then this one will be done. Just draw some of this out since it's sunk in a little bit here. Give it a few taps here where there are a couple of small high spots. So how'd I do? Are you 32? Are you 65? Are you 12? I hope you're not 12. No 12-year-old should be watching me live stream. I swear way too much.
You'd be shocked how many 12-year-olds wind up on live streams. I know. It's wild.
So like I said, right now I'm just doing my final cleanup on this one. And then once the final cleanup's done, we'll go back to the drawing board with another one. Okay, yeah. So I was nowhere near correct. I went 12, I went 32 and 68 or something like that. Nice. Now you try to guess how old I am. This will be fun. Because you can actually see me. So you have a better chance at guessing my age.
Oh man, do I really look that old? About 7 years off. I just turned 30. So I got a block of reinforced concrete trapped inside of a couple pieces of wood to give it a wood exterior I can screw things onto if I need holders. Like I said before, sometimes I like to give myself, actually most of the time I like to give myself a longer tang than I'm going to need. Let that one cool for a bit, and then I'll show you guys a closer look at it. Alrighty. Alrighty, so there is our sword blade. No, 30. I'm 30. Years old. I was a couple days ago I turned 30. Yeah, here's our sword blade that we've been working on. Nice and straight. Not heavy. And a nice taper to it. Once it's refined in grinding, it'll be even prettier. Nice symmetrical double edge, good medial ridge. Bed frame rail, old bed frame rail. And in comparison to the Bastard sword, there's the other one, regular size sword blade, Bastard sword blade. So one-hander, two-hander. No worries. That's 3 down, 7 to go, at least. This piece I'm working right now, I'm thinking I might chop this guy in half and make 2 shorter, broader swords out of this one. Because this piece is thicker and wider than the last piece. It's the same size that I made this big guy out of. It's the same size piece of material. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut it in half, which would give me that much on either side to work with, and make some smaller one-handed swords out of some of this. Yeah, I saw. I guessed all over the place. Nice work. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, Willem, yeah, I heard you. I saw. No worries, dude. Everybody's talking, and I'm trying to keep up with everybody, so no worries. I get it. Start by bringing this down a little bit. Always fun when you get little pieces of forge scale burned into your skin. Haha! Perfect timing too, because I just finished up the first one. YouTube knows you want to see it, dude. And there it is. Nice, sleek, double-edged, one-handed, or hand and a half if you wish, sword blade. It is the little brother of the two-hander from yesterday. Just a little brother version. Just a smaller version of it. Now we're gonna start making the tang on another sword. Concrete with rebar and chicken wire, so chicken wire fence. That's the center of it, about 4 bags of concrete. So it's 4 80-pounders. So, let's see, 160 times 2, you're looking at 320. So 320 pounds of concrete plus a couple pieces of rebar, a couple pieces of chicken wire fencing, and then I wrapped a wood box around it for the ability to screw stuff in, hang stuff, mount the anvil. What I did on the top is I actually put 2x4s down that are built into the box on top of the concrete, and then I routed out and cut out the anvil base shape, siliconed that sucker in place, then strapped it down to the wood with screwed in straps, and put a chain around it and some magnets. I can't really take off the box, but this is the outer shape of the box that I have, and my concrete is inside of here. You can kind of see it right here in the corner, because the back bottom corner is breaking down here, so I have to repair that, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, this is basically what I got going on for the anvil base. These are the straps, they go over the feet of the anvil, and the anvil is recessed down inside of there. Big old stump. Went down to the green dump in my county, to the county green dump, picked up a big stump, and had a much smaller anvil on it at the time. octopus, birdfish, lion, cat, dog, chicken, wombat, spider. Whoa. What was that? How many hammers do you have? Oh, and can you turn back the camera? Let's see if I can get it adjusted. I've never counted. Just the forging hammers. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 forging hammers of different shapes and sizes and varieties. And still always recruiting more. Railroad tie. Wait. 25 counting the one on the floor behind the handle. Ah, yeah. True. Would railroad tie work also? Railroad tie work for an anvil? Are you talking railroad track? Or like what are we talking in railroad tie specifically? Like what would it work? What are you asking would it work for? An anvil stand. Using a railroad. Oh, wood tie. Yeah, railroad the wood pieces. Got you. Yeah, you can bury them in the ground like 2 or 3 feet, and then use that side piece as a stand for sure. As long as it's wide enough at the top for your anvil's base. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Oh, definitely. I've done that before with several different pieces. It just depends on the blade. And like I said, I'm not finishing these. Right now I'm just doing the rough profiling, so getting the steel moved into a sword shape. So that way I can go back, once I've done all of them, and refine everything about each one. Really get into the details, whether that's going to be designs in the blade, building the guards with specific functions and shapes. But right now I'm in the mass production stage of this process, which is where I pound out a bunch of steel into blade shapes, and then I go back, pick one up, revisit them one by one, finish them one by one, and focus all my attention on each piece. That would be the stage that would be the point at which when I would want to add designs and things like that to the blade. Right now, I'm just taking it from the raw flat stock to something more blade shaped. Doing the majority of the forging work on what will become the sword part of the object. That way I can spend more time later, each one, focusing on the tilt, guard, pommel, and all that kind of stuff.
starting to get low on gas, so I'm not sure just how much longer this stream's gonna run for, because I'm gonna be working on this. That's awesome. It's because you're the one that's commenting the most and liking the most and interacting the most. So I appreciate that. I figure I might as well go ahead and make at least one more larger sword. You know, something around that size. Since I've got so much material, I can chop another one of these in half anytime I want to and make two smaller, broader swords. But I think I'm going to get the stuff that's more work out of the way first. Probably not going to do a double edge like this on that one though. Probably do something a little bit different on this next one. Kurt! How you doing, Kurt? Good to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Like he said, commenting, interacting, etc. So the more I comment and watch videos, the closer I get. Basically, the more you comment and interact with the video, the higher up in the ranking it puts you to being one of the top fans. Basically, yeah. So Kurt, been pounding my ass off these past couple days. I got my hands on some really good old bed frame rail. It's blade steel. Well, usable as blade steel. Made a snake-tongued saber. A bastard sword blade. Just finished up a longsword blade. And starting on the tang of another big boy sword. You could at least try to come up with something, you know, original, like that I haven't heard 50,000 times before. No, that's what your mom and your dad forgot to tell you growing up. Hence why you feel the need to come into random people's streams and act like a dipshit.
Third Saturday on January is the next at Paul's shop. Oh, cool, at Lightning Forge, right? I'll have to go. I'll have to be there. Third Saturday. I'm trying to remember what day on the calendar that is. I'll have to look it up. I can mark it though. Yeah, I'll definitely have to go down there. Yes, I am married. I'll figure it out with the wife. I'll see if we need the truck that day or not. Because if she needs the truck for something, I'll just catch a ride with you because we're down a vehicle at the moment. Yes, I am married. Enamel coating, copper. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, Willem, I think that, I think you went to sleep before, but my wife popped in at the end of the stream last night when I was working on the Bastard Sword. I was like halfway through it, and she popped in. J.I.J. has returned. How you doing, brother? Good to see you back. Got the one I was working on finished up. I'm not sure if you saw that or not. I can't remember. But I got the simple little long sword blade forged out rough. And we got another piece of steel in the fire. Basically, I'm just running through a bunch of steel right now, getting a bunch of blades batched out because I got all these pieces of flat stock that are good to make blades out of. And I figure if I batch a bunch of blade profiles and blade blanks out now, I can draw up a bunch of guard, pommel, all that kind of stuff designs, slap it together, put the handles on. One by one I can basically produce stuff. And the longest period of time for me is always building the initial blade because I always think way too much about it. So by giving myself a bunch of blade blanks to work with, I think it'll be easier. Oh, Tomahagane? I've never used it. I've never worked with it. I have seen some Tomahagane at Lonnie's during the Blacksmith Guild meeting. He showed us a chunk that he had of it, but I've never worked it. I've never seen it worked in person. I'm familiar with what it is. I'm just not familiar with using it or working it. I know that it tends to be pretty dirty steel, so you have to fold it quite a lot to work the impurities out. Tamahagane, which comes from ore, and then there's Shirgana, which comes from scrap iron. Interesting. Didn't know that. I only ever heard of Tamahagan. I've never heard of the other kind. So is the other type more modern than Tamahagan? Because Tamahagan was derived from ore and the other from scrap, so I'd imagine Tamahagan came first. I don't know. Yeah. It's been chilly out today and yesterday. Next time you gotta do, so they would take like wrought iron nails and melt them down. Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty chilly out today. But cold or warm, progress must be made. The forge, the anvil, she calls to me. Wired up a new motor on Dad's hammer yesterday. It was chilly. Oh man, I bet. Wiring when it's cold outside sucks because dexterity in the cold being what it is. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get more gas before this one's finished because this is gonna be a big one and it's gonna take a while. And I can tell I'm starting to get lower on fuel because the pressure is decreasing. You should look up Landsea Forge, beautiful 200-year wrought iron, push nice and long. And made a knife and a wakizashi from it. Oh, that's badass. That's badass. How's it running now that you got the motor on it, though?
I'm not sure where Dallas Greens is. I usually go to the 21st Street gas station where they fill up all the semi trucks and stuff, and the RVs and motorhomes. Or if I can't get it there, I've been going out to U-Haul.
I think that it would be better for me to go to bed now that it's 11:15 p.m. here. Have a good night, and I will possibly see you tomorrow on the next stream. One more question. Okay, yeah, go ahead and ask. Runs good, 1 horsepower to 2 horsepower. Woo! So you gave it some oomph. Hey, stop digging. You know you're not supposed to be digging in the yard, dogs. Yeah, don't come in here. I'm not gonna have you try and butter me up. He was digging holes. They never do that, so there must be something there that they want bad. I have to go and see if something's going on over there. How long has this live been running? 2 hours and 20 minutes. For propane, I would go to Ace. They do a refill. It used to be 50 cents a pound for gas. I didn't know Ace did it. We'll have to call my local Ace because they're pretty close. We'll have to call them and see if they still refill tanks. Because I have I think it's a 50 pound or a 40 pound. Yeah, you sleep good, dude. Upstate South Carolina. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see if they do. 'Cause mine's in date. I got it last year. It's practically a brand new tank. That Blue Rhino or AmeriGas switch out. Yeah, no, and I wouldn't be doing that because I paid way too much for this big old tank. Plus, that switch out thing don't take big tanks or get big tanks like this where I am. Shadicue. Got a grill size. Since September last year.
Yeah, you switched over to coal, didn't you? So I think with this one, I'm actually going to make this a hand and a half sword, two-hand sword. I'm going to leave it with the two-hand tang that I gave it, but I'm going to cut a good amount of this material off so it doesn't end up as big as this guy. It'll be more similar in length to this guy, but I want to start off with that broader base and then taper down. Get a different blade profile going. Yeah, that would be good. That stuff has a lot more density. Burns better. Yeah. I've only ran in a coal forge a couple times at guild meets. I like coal forges a lot. If I was able to have one here, I would. Just, it's too dirty for where I am. Because I'm in the back of my house making all this stuff, so gotta run it as clean as possible. So I'm going to go a little further with it, with that same width. And with this one, I drew that width all the way up to here before I did that taper at the end. Whereas on this one, I'm going to do it right about here. So just a little further than where I am, and then I'm going to have that taper come down to about here. So it's going to be, like I said, roughly the same length as this guy, but more width down to a more stout taper. So it'll still be a 1.5-hand kind of sword, but you can use it 2 hands. It'll just be a broader sword that is a standard length.
Oh shit. I work in my backyard, but I live in the country, not the city. Yeah, exactly. Recut the handle. Oh, fuck. Damn, bro. Alright, well, have fun, cut straight, don't lose any fingers. That's the question. That is indeed the question. Maybe. If I don't, I'll go get more, but I'm gonna run through as much as I can before I run out. I got this one done today. Those other two I did yesterday. And yeah, this one is done for as far as rough forging goes. And then that one I'm gonna hopefully get it to the rough forge stage today, because my goal is to do 2 each day until these are all done, if time permits. Basically taking advantage of the days I have off work in order to try and get as much batched out in terms of rough forging blades to like the 80% done mark or so, 70-80% done mark.
That way I can come back and revisit each one in its own turn and, you know, construct them and finish them and take my time with them as time permits. But I'm getting close to the point where I'm going to start my taper on this blade. I'm just going to get it down to right here where I'm working the blade on both sides, and then I'll start a more drastic taper to start to bring that point in and start to bring my bevel tighter towards the point so it gets more narrow in terms of blade width from edge to edge. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me. Just had my wife get a hold of me for something real quick. She was just texting me some good news. That's nice. Now I'm just going to kind of refine what I've got so far, get it nice and straight and everything. Then I'll flip it around, figure out where I'm going to cut it off, and then start stretching out my point and all that stuff before I bevel the rest of it. Yeah, basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a happy middle ground between these two. Everything nice and straight and in line. Now when I do this, I'm basically just using my anvil as a giant flatter tool for my edge. Helps me make sure that everything gets nice and straight, stays nice and straight. Makes it very easy for me to get any bends or kinks out and make sure my blade width from side to side this way is identical. So now we'll flip it around. Might want to bring that down just a hair. There we go. Better. Okay. Yeah, so now I'm going to flip it around, cut it off somewhere up here, and then stretch out a nice taper to it before I bevel the rest. That way when I'm done beveling, I end up with a much finer stretched out point on this one than that one, because that one stays wide till about here and then tapers off to the point, whereas that one, this one is going to taper, 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 taper. Let it cool down a little bit more. basically once the side that I was just working cools off sufficiently while the other side heats up, I can go ahead and just cool the side I was working before off the rest of the way, and then start my work on the other side. The cold definitely doesn't help, because my propane's wanting to freeze. And as everybody here that Smiths knows that's used propane in the winter, that'll make you think you're out of gas before you're actually out of gas, because it'll freeze up in your tank and then you'll have no pressure. Cool this side off really fast. The rest of the way, since it's been cooling long enough to where it shouldn't mess my steel up. Yeah, I'm only running one burner at the moment. I do like you told me, get it up to heat with both and then run one unless you need both. This sucker gets plenty hot and holds plenty of heat to where on one burner I can do all the work I need to on these swords until it's time for heat treat. Then when it's time for heat treat, that's when I'll use both burners so I can really dial in a consistent temperature. My shop dog's just hanging out right over here, behind the corner over this way. Just laying out on the dirt in the sun, staring at me. Alright, we're gonna cut off a good chunk of this lightsaber. Right about here. Heat to it. I don't. I only have a hot cut. I have two hot cuts, basically. I have the handheld variety, which is the one I bought off of you a while back. And then I've got this guy that I made out of a jackhammer bit. Yeah, no, I don't have a cold cut. Used to eat those at Subway, though. Cold cut sandwiches. Until I found out that they were basically just disgusting meat and decided not to eat them anymore. Closest thing I have to a cold cut is my angle grinder or my bandsaw. It cuts the steel cold, but it ain't exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I do too now, especially now that I'm starting to get older. I can't handle it like I used to.
Bone broth is always good. Chicken carcass, spare rib bones, chicken thigh bones.
Wow, you're doing all kinds of different bone broth. A mixture, a tincture, a mountain man's soupy sauce. Come on now. Yeah, I might be almost out. This is getting pretty light. that sucker.
Istvangi? Judge, hello.
Where's that? Ha!
Hello. Hello.
So right now I'm just stretching it out so that way we have that longer, more narrow point. Like I said, we're kind of going in between these two blade profiles and sizes, starting with the width at the base that this one has and tapering down to something more like this towards the point than what this has.
Hello, Mr. Omron. How you doing? I am making a sward, one of many. Made this one earlier today on the stream. And then we're working on one that's going to be kind of halfway between that one and this one that I made yesterday on the stream. Right now I'm just refining what will become my point. Kind of redistributing some material where I need it. Getting it thinner where I don't need as much material. And basically getting it pre-shaped before bevel. That way my bevel flows the direction I want and gives me the profile that I want. What does PJ stand for? Pajamas? No, I'm wearing jeans.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. This is where we're at now. We've got the base area started to bevel as wide as we want it down here. Now we're just working backwards from the point to give ourselves a pre-build for when we do bevel the rest. So when it swells, we're not so broad up here in that last third of the blade. I noticed. It keeps popping up because it knows you're my #1 fan, bro.
Hello, Terry Smith.
Now I'm just going to kind of carry that taper back a little further. Because by doing this, not only am I making it change shape a little better, I'm also, well, not only am I giving it the shape that I want more, I'm also gaining more length, because every time I thin it up, I'm drawing it lengthwise over the horn to thin it back down to the same thickness as the rest of the material. And when I'm doing that, since I've squished it this way to thicken it up, and I stretch it this way, all that extra thickness is becoming length instead of width. That way, when I do bevel it, the width I get from beveling it is exactly what I want. And I won't have to fight myself as much.
Anyway, see you later. Oh, that's cool. Make up your mind, my good friend. Or did the FYP circle you back around already? It won't let you leave. I have to go. Have a good one. All right. You have a good one, bro. It was good talking to you, AT. Thanks for swinging by. By the way, before I go, do you know what XP does? Yeah, it's for leveling up, bro. Oh, a top fans thing? Not a clue. Not a clue. I thought you were talking in video games. I have no idea. On top fans thing, I have no idea what it's for. How's it going, Chicken Man? Oh, hello, Mother. You're off work and you're working. Yep, I love you too, Mom. I'm actually making a bunch of stuff. So yesterday, I forged out a Serpent's Tongue style saber sword with kind of a Middle Eastern kind of vibe. And then I forged out a big old bastard sword blade. And then today, forged out a long sword blade.
And I'm forging out a 1.5-hand sword arming sword blade right now.
Alright, have a good one. I'm downloading Elden Ring as we speak.
Haha! Got somebody stuck in the vibe of weapons and fighting with weapons, did I? That's okay, I'm right there with you. I've been on... You've seen the Great Swords, right, Chicken Man? Tell me you've seen the Great Swords. No, you're not cooked, you're just an Elden Ring player. You're just a FromSoft player like myself, dude. It's an addiction we all carry with pride, alright? FromSoft games are... They're the shit, man. When it comes to video games, you can't really beat FromSoft games. At least in my opinion. I like a game that doesn't hold my hand and actually lets me learn. And lets failure actually be what teaches you how to succeed rather than, oh, game over, you failed, you learned nothing, you just didn't press the button fast enough. Dark Souls is much different than most games. Well, all the Souls series, the Elden Ring series, because I know they're going to make more Elden Ring games. Even if it takes 20, 30 years, I'm sure there's going to be another one. Yeah, I'm batching out a bunch of sword blades. Yeah, so I've got 3 done so far. That is the only FromSoft game I have yet to play. And it's only because I don't have the right system for it. Alrighty. Get that all cleaned back up.
How hard is Warhammer to forge all the stuff I came in today?
What are you making it out of? Like, what's your starting material, friend? Because that's going to dictate a lot of what you have to do. If you're starting off with, like, a ball peen hammer or something like that, that's going to be a hell of a lot easier than going from a block of steel or a tube of steel where you have to punch the eye. The tube is the hardest because you have to punch the eye through without going off kilter. Okay, so we've got a nice straight taper that runs from where we are now with the same thickness we are where we beveled all this down. It swells a little bit right here. I think I'm going to leave that and just leave that as a reinforced point. Draw it out to the same width bevel-wise, but leave it just a hair thicker in that central portion, and then run it up to the tip. So let's heat it up and start banging it out. Alrighty, time to get going on the bevels. The bevels.
The Mechanics Dream, our tribe is known for the work you do. I like that. Sledgehammer head. It's gonna be tough, I'm not gonna lie. Depending on the size, the heavier pound heads are harder to forge simply because there's more mass. You're gonna want to redrift the eye to accommodate whatever style of handle you're gonna put on it. Unless you want to go with the sledgehammer handle. And from there it just depends on how long you're willing to pound. It's gonna be a slog, I'm not gonna lie. And you're gonna want to make sure of two things. You have tongs that you can use to hold it correctly, and you have the right safety gear. Because you do not want a big heavy block of steel like that when you hit it with a hammer to go flying, because it's heavy, it's ridiculously hot, and it will hurt you or catch something on fire. So make sure you have tongs that you can use to grip it from different angles. I usually use 2 different or 3 different sets of tongs to hold different places on a sledgehammer to give me affirmative grips. And make sure, you've taken your fire precautions. There's nothing around you that can get ignited if it falls. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses and some type of protection for your body, because if that thing goes flying at you, it's going to be bad. I've had my fair share of close calls with flying hammers before. What tribe is it? And are you talking bladesmithing or blacksmithing? It's, oh my God. Yeah, you're in for a very, very wild ride, my friend. 8 pounds is a lot. I've done 6-pound and 8-pound heads. I've done 12-pound heads. I've done 4-pound heads. 8 pounds is going to be a lot of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It also depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to reshape it, that's going to be a lot of work. You're going to have to go back and basically, as you're forging, you're going to want to undo the upsetting that's happening, because if you're doing it by hand, you're not going to have enough force to penetrate all the way through the material, so it's going to move the surface material more than the central material. So you're going to have to take your time, move it up, bring down the upset, move it, bring down the upset, and keep going back and forth until it's that shape you want. Like 8 pounds is doable, but it's gonna take a lot of work, man. I wish you the best in your endeavors. Like, what kind of design are you planning for it? Are you planning like a spike? Because that's going to take a lot of work. Whereas if you're doing like a maul and stuff like that, you can forge stuff in. You can do what I did with some of the heavier ones, where you just shape a face into it, sculpt it into like a monster face on one side. But like, what are you planning on doing with it? Because that's going to dictate a lot of what work you have to do. I could switch over to an old 3-pound ball peen head, but I do like the heavier weight. It just depends on how much work you want to do and what you're looking for in your finished product, man. By all means, 8 pounds is doable. It's just going to be a lot of work. 3 pounds is still a decent amount of work, depending on what level of smithing skill you have and how much practice you've had. But I love 3-pound ball peen heads, man. They make awesome warhammers because there's enough weight there to really pack a punch, but they're light enough to where you can wield them all day. That's one thing a lot of people don't consider about like warhammers, is typically they weren't more than, you know, a couple pounds. They were very rarely as heavy as 8 to 12 pound heads, simply because you're swinging it all day on a battlefield. It'll exhaust you so much faster, and you really don't need 8 pounds to take out a dude in armor. Depending on, you know, the design of hammer. Been at it. Are you talking about today specifically, or total time blacksmithing? There's a big distinction there. Today has been 3 hours and 23 minutes, and my life, it's been 5 or 6-ish years of blacksmithing. Something like that. Now, if you're talking about this sword I'm working on specifically, then an hour and 20 minutes or so, because it took me 2 hours for this guy, and I'm at about the hour and 20 minute mark on this guy. I mean, if you're wanting to talk about huge amounts of weight, just look at the greatswords I've been making, dude. It's practical in a sense to have an 8-pound warhammer if you're using it for like a sledgehammer. But as a warhammer for like fighting, 8 pounds is pretty big. That's more for smashing through walls and structures and such. Tearing buildings up, if you know what I mean.
Man, 4 blades in 2 days is a lot of work. My arm is feeling it, and so is my shoulder. I mean, we pounded 4 blades out in 2 days so far. And not like little blades, like big sons of guns. I'm feeling pretty accomplished. Now I understand why blacksmiths in the medieval period were so goddamn ripped. They were pounding out all kinds of shit all day long. Periodically going over and shaking the tank to prevent freezing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm actually thinking about taking one of these thinner guys and making some more rapier style blades. Maybe 2 or 3 of them throughout the next year. I plan on making a basket hilted, either rapier or epee or something with a more bar-like thrusting blade. I plan on experimenting a lot with different designs. That's what this is kind of me playing around at the moment with longsword designs, because, I mean, I've made several double-edged straight swords, but most of them weren't as long as this. So I'm just trying to get a general sense of, you know, different dimensions and shapes and what I need to do to bevel it the way I want it to come out. Because I've got so much steel to play with, I can make all kinds of blade profiles. You'll more than likely see a rapier in a future stream. Or something similar to a rapier in a future stream. Yeah, I've thought about doing katana. I don't want to do one out of mono steel though. When I do my first katana, I've done a mono steel style wakizashi. When I do my first katana, I want to do it in the traditional sanmai construction. I want to have a hamon that is from the sanmai, so you can see a big difference in coloration in the two steels where they're actually welded together. In order to do that, I need a lot more practice forge welding before I'm at that point. But I do plan on visiting that concept in the future when I have the skill and the confidence to approach something of that magnitude. The first one I ever made, a knife, a really crappy knife, like 6 years ago, made out of a file that had an edge that was way too shallow way too fat of a bevel for what I wanted it to do. Supposed to be a carving knife, was not a carving knife. The first like actual weapon I made would have been, oh geez, I think it was a saber sword. I hadn't figured out how to, yeah, it was a saber sword because I hadn't figured out how to get the blade perfectly straight with a single edge yet. And then after that, it would have been an axe made out of a Maltese hammer that I sold to a dude. Had a spike on it.
Mine was a Canabo before I got interested in forging.
Nice. I recently made these buggers. A set of Chinese tiger hook swords. Many would recognize these from Mortal Kombat as Kano swords. No, Cabal swords. I misspoke. Cabal. Yeah. They are indeed sharp, heat treated, and functional. And there will be a full build video on that coming to the channel. You know, build series, testing video, all that jazz like I usually do. If you do the members thing, you can watch every video I have scheduled to go up way ahead of time, so you don't have to wait. But I understand budgets are tight for everybody, and I don't expect anyone to purchase those memberships. YouTube just, when I monetized the channel, YouTube basically told me, hey, you qualify to do memberships, let's create the thing. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll create the thing. So I created the thing. Out a little bit below the heat when I just have heat where I want to move stuff. back in line. Use every little bit of fuel that I can get before it's frozen.
I got Elden Ring, and now I got to pick a class.
Shit, it's been so long since I started the game. Basically, the one that's depraved, the deprived. I always go with the deprived class. I can't remember what it's called in Elden Ring, but it's basically the one that starts you off with almost nothing. In my opinion, the only true way to play the game. You have to pick up everything you plan on using, aside from the basic thing. But it's also the most adaptable class, because it's usually the lowest level with the least stuff invested, meaning at the end tier of the game, you have less points wasted from your starting class without having to go and waste one of your larval thingies to respec. Let me have enough fuel left to freaking finish beveling this sucker. I don't even care if it's straight yet. I can always straighten it later. Just let me have enough fuel to bevel it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Need a few more heats. We're going to be cutting it really close with how much fuel I have in there and how much sword I have left to do. Don't run out of fuel on me now. Come on. Unfreeze whatever is in on that can be unfrozen. Come on. CV. What does CV mean? Not a clue.
be cutting it close. Hello, Angela Vassallo.
I'm gonna be cutting it real freaking close here, guys. Not sure if I'm actually gonna finish this or if I'm gonna run out of fuel first. I'm trying though. I'm trying. Just a little more. Just a little more. That's all we need.
I'm over here shaking my tank like a psycho trying to get it to have enough fuel. Keep it from freezing. Hopefully long enough to finish this. We're almost there. We're almost there. Just a little more, baby. Come on. Yep, we're gonna run out of fuel. Yay. Shit. Gonna have to run down and get more to get this sucker finished up. Use up every bit I can for now, I guess. Yep, there it goes. I can hear it. It's puttering out, guys. We're almost there. Got a lot of cleanup work to do on it, but that's going to be this one. Like I said, a much more broad blade with a longer taper. But we're going to stick it in here for now. Cut this guy off. And go and see if I can get more propane. So, close that off. So hopefully I will be streaming again here shortly. Maybe in an hour or so. If you guys see me pop back up, awesome. If not, well then probably couldn't get fuel or didn't end up having enough time to finish it up. But that does it for the stream for now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out. God bless. Hopefully I'll see you soon. And I'll check out my Etsy store if you're looking for something sharp, I guess. Man, propane.